Alright, so welcome back. And so we are finishing up Chapter 10 here with 10.5, Buying a House with a Mortgage. I've already kind of mentioned a little bit in 10.4 about mortgage payments, because it's the same exact formula. We're going to be using the same formula from 10.4 to 10.5, okay? The only thing that's different is, I believe we had payment out there, PMT, instead of M, okay? But notice it's the same exact formula. So I'm not going to break this one down like I did in 10.4, okay? Because it's the same exact formula. All right, so let's use this formula and go right into some examples here, okay? So example number 1, we see the Nichols are buying a house selling for $435,000. They pay a down payment of $35,000 from the sale of their current house. To obtain a 20-year mortgage at a 5% interest rate, the Nichols must pay 3.5 points at the time of closing. All right, so on A, what is the amount of the mortgage? All right, well, we see the house is selling for this amount, $435,000, but they pay a down payment of $35,000. Okay, so we need to take that down payment off first before they can, plug it into a mortgage here. Okay, so on A here, we're going to do $435,000 minus $35,000. And that'll give us our answer there for A. The amount of the mortgage is going to be exactly $400,000. Okay, so that is the answer for A there. Okay. All right, B, what is the cost of the 3.5 points? Now, this always seems to throw people off, 3.5 points, okay? And so when you see 3.5 points, I want you to think percentage here, because that's exactly what that is. That's 3.5%, okay? So they are going to have to pay 3.5% at the time of closing, all right? To be able to attain this 20-year mortgage at a 5% interest rate, the mortgage company, okay, which could be a bank, is telling them that they have to pay 3.5 points, okay, which is 3.5%. All right, so if the mortgage is $400,000, we're going to multiply that 400,000 by 3.5%, but we have to convert that to a decimal. So it'll be 0.035. And let me punch that in my calculator here real quick. 400,000 times 0.035 comes out to $14,000. And so this is the answer for B. Okay, so they paid $35,000 up front as a down payment. However, to be able to achieve to be able to attain the mortgage itself, okay, for a 20-year mortgage at a 5% interest rate, they're going to have to pay an additional $14,000 on top of that just to get that mortgage. Okay. All right, so that's basically what you do when you see points. When you see points, make sure you change it to a percentage, and then multiply whatever your mortgage is by that amount. And whoever's buying this house is going to have to pay that as well at the time of closing. All right, notice example 2 has 3 parts to this. Okay, so Anna is buying a house selling for $255,000. To obtain the mortgage, Anna is required to make a 10% down payment. Anna obtains a 25-year mortgage with an interest rate of 6%. Now notice, whoever this mortgage company is, they're not asking for anything at closing. They're not asking for points at closing with this example. All right, so on A here, we're going to determine the amount of the required down payment, okay? Because they didn't tell us that right at the beginning. But it does say to obtain the mortgage, Anna is required to make a 10% down payment. All right, the house is selling for $255,000. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do on A there, is calculate the down payment that's going to be required here. So $255,000 times, now don't forget to change 10% to a decimal, so that'd be 0.1, and that should be 200, let me change the color of my pen here, 25,500. Okay, and there's your answer for A. All right, on B, we're determining the amount of the mortgage. Well, that's going to be minus the down payment there. All right, so let me go back to red here. So we have $255,000 minus my answer in A, which is $25,500. Okay, remember back in example 1, we subtracted the down payment from the price of the house, and so that would be the total of your mortgage. Well, the same thing here, except this time they did not tell us what the down payment was. We actually had to calculate the down payment. All right, so let's see, $255,000 minus $25,500 comes out to $229,500. All right, so this will be my answer for letter B. All right, C, determine the monthly payment for principal and interest. Okay, now we notice she obtains a 25-year mortgage with an interest rate of 6%. Okay, now we have this nice little chart down here at the bottom, and again, I want you to feel free to use this chart when you're working on this homework, and especially when we get to the test and stuff like that. This chart will be provided with the formula chart. Okay, so determine the monthly payment for principal and interest. Okay, so 25-year mortgage with an interest rate of 6%. Okay, 25 years. 25 years at 6% looks like about right here. Okay, so let me zoom out just a little bit so we can kind of see the bottom of that problem there. Okay, now remember in 10.4 when we had those installment loans and it said per $100, okay, well, notice on this one the monthly principal and interest payment per 1,000 of the mortgage. Okay, so we need to take the answer that we had back on B, which is $229,500, okay, because she's just not borrowing $1,000. She wants to borrow $229,500. So we're going to have to divide by this 1,000 to figure out how many thousands there are in this amount that she wants to borrow. Okay, so $229,500 divided by 1,000. Remember back in 10.4 we divided by 100 because our chart said per 100. All right, so that's 229.5. We're going to take this and we're going to multiply by that amount that I found right there. 6.44301. All right, so 229.5 times 6.44301 comes out to a grand total of $1,478.67. So this is what her payment's going to be, the monthly payment for this house for principal and interest, okay? All right, because your monthly payment will include what you're paying on principal and what you're paying on interest as well, okay? So this is letter choice C down here, okay? Now, we could have went back all the way to that formula at the top, and again, I'm going to slide it up just to kind of show you what I'm talking about. We could have went back to this formula right here, okay, and calculated it. Now, that would have taken longer for us to calculate, but if we would have used that formula, we would have came out exactly to this amount right here. Okay, we would have still came out to $1478.67. Okay, I hope that helps finish up chapter 10 for you. Please, if you run into any questions, of course, please feel